getting into the top Flex Friday bets for today on PrizePicks and touching on some underdog as well. So I do just want to start out with NFL. I'll be touching on MLB, touching on the discrepancies, touching on WNBA as the video progresses. But I want to start out with NFL for those people that are trying to get some NFL bets in. I do want to call just the discrepancies that we are getting. Baker Mayfield, a 7-yard discrepancy between PrizePicks and underdog. Kind of interesting. We don't know exactly how much he's going to play. We do know that he's going to start this game and Kyle Trask is going to start the game next week. How much playing time does that mean? We do not know. And that's kind of what I find interesting about a lot of the QB props that we are getting out there. Jordan Love probably going to play a few series. Is that enough for him to get over 60, 70 passing yards? We don't really know. Trevor Siemian, a good candidate to play about a half of football, and he is only at 68.5 yards. I find that very interesting. A similar one, Tyrod Taylor, probably going to play a half of football. His prop line is only set at 87. I say that because these guys, if they are going to be playing a half of football, and if they can only get around 90 passing yards, that's not a very good sign, right? I know they're playing with backups and whatnot, and that can hinder their production, but it is strange that we are getting those lines. Kenny Pickett is probably going to play 2 or 3 series. His passing yard prop is set at like 65. Interesting there, but we are seeing a discrepancy there. So I just want to call out those discrepancies, but I want to get in some props that I like. And once again, I just want to call us out. The props that we want to be attacking are going to be on underdogs simply because we have the fantasy points prop. A good example of that, or a good example of why, would be yesterday with Trey Nixon, who was a good prime candidate for DFS, thus for his fantasy score prop. If you try to force him on PrizePicks, which I tried to do, it didn't work out. He didn't get the over receiving yards because those are the only props that are available. Where on underdog, we are at least getting some different opportunities in there. So a good example of that would be Patrick Taylor. Okay, Patrick Taylor is probably going to be the feature back tonight for the Green Bay Packers. And I say that because Matt LaFleur has made it clear that he wants to have at least a featured back per game, a different one per game. And so with Nichols, currently banged up for the Green Bay Packers, it seems like it's either going to be Patrick Taylor or Tyler Goodson. Given how the joint practices have went with the Cincinnati Bengals, the expectation is that it's going to be Patrick Taylor today. We don't know that for certain, okay? But we do know if that does occur, Patrick Taylor, his props for this are pretty low because a feature back, what do you think with a feature back? I think, around 12 opportunities, at least in a preseason game, and playing at least a half of football. Once again, he should at least be able to get there. Now, I do want to call out that apparently the Bengals defense has been doing really well against the Packers offense thus far in those joint practices. So we'll see. Then another running back prop that I want to call out, we are not getting a fantasy score prop on, is going to be Corey Clement. And I don't know if I love it or hate it, but I do want to call out that they do have a lot of injuries right now at the running back position. Marlon Mack left with an injury. Ingram's not going to play. And James Conner, kind of with his injury history and him being a vet, I don't expect him to play. So that really leaves us with 3 running backs for them, okay? Corey Clement and Tyson Williams. Now, personally, I like Tyson Williams a little bit better tonight for DFS purposes, but we're not getting any Williams props. Okay, it's kind of like Jake Bobo, where I don't know why we weren't getting them. It's probably because the underdog and PrizePicks probably felt a little bit too much at risk, or they just didn't realize it was a good play. That could be what's happening with Tyson Williams tonight. But either way, there should be a lot of work for these 3 running backs. So as it sits right now, Corey Clement going over that yardage seems likely. I mean, we should be gaining a lot of snaps between those 3 running backs in general. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at least for NFL right now. And then there are some other ones that I don't mind, kind of receiver-wise. Jamison Williams is expected to get a ton of snaps. You could easily roll with him. Jalen Hyatt, given the hype that he has been getting, it'd be kind of shocking to see him not get over 2.6 for a fantasy score or even those receptions. He's getting a ton of hype. The only worry with him is that maybe the hype has gone too far to the point where, he's kind of solidified where he is in the roster, and maybe they don't want teams to get a look at him on film. And that's what could occur potentially yesterday with Demario Douglas, who only played 2 snaps apparently. That was kind of a void of confidence that the Patriots put in him to only play it that much. That could happen with Jalen Hyatt. And what I find interesting is just a lot of the top plays on the DFS slate are not exactly props today, which is very interesting. We'll say Chase Brown, Chris Evans, I kind of like, but does feel like we're forcing it. Jake Browning, I think it's going to be Trevor Siemian a half and Jake Browning a half. You'd imagine he'd be able to get the over fantasy score there. And then Ahmed, I do think he's going to be the kind of the workhorse tonight for them, or at least the lead back, I should say. So you could roll with him as well. All right, let's go and look at some other props that we have available. So getting into the MLB props, just want to look at the hitting fantasy score for PrizePicks. We're trying to build out a Flex Friday slip right now, and we have 3 really kind of ideal hitting fantasy score props that we're getting. Paul Goldschmidt for over 7.5 for a hitting fantasy score line, we can see Vegas has him projected to get 10.68. The 905 data production has it set at 11.47. Nolan Arenado, very much the same thing. These are three really big prop line differences. So the chances are 2 out of the 3 should be able to hit. I mean, that's typically what we see. About 70% of the hitting fantasy scores that are like this, where the prop line difference for the Vegas line and the projection are both over by 2, they tend to hit at a 70% clip. So those 3 are going to be ones that we are just putting into our Flex Friday slip. In terms of under bets, maybe potentially Nico here. If you want to roll with that, you could. Let's see if we are getting any good pitching fantasy score props. And we do have Corbin Burns potentially here as one that's all right. Not a big edge, but Vegas has the line set at 41.5, whereas PrizePicks has it set at 37.5. Projection data only has it set a little bit higher, but all in all, typically when we have this, it does hit about, like, I would say, this is a random guess. I haven't tracked this. I tracked the hitting fantasy score one. I would say this is probably around like 55 to 60% of the time when both of them are over. It's not a terrible one. That might be the best one that we get. But let's take a peek at some of the discrepancies that we're getting. All right, so looking at the discrepancies, we are getting a bunch of pretty good ones, okay, in terms of prop line differences. So we can see right away with League of Legends, we have 2 that are pretty appealing here. And like, I would be perfectly happy putting these onto a Flex Friday slip. And, there is the potential that with these 2 specific ones, yes, this will probably get changed maybe by the time I upload the video, but you could kind of bet them both ways, especially with the Flex Friday slip where it's kind of free money and then you run it back on Underdog. There's a good chance you'd be able to profit kind of doing that. But we do see another one here for soccer where shots attempted too. I mean, that's a lot. Underdog has set at 1.5. Here's another one where saves. These are all decent ones. Anytime we can get like these discrepancies, prop line difference percent being over 55%, it's intriguing to me. And it does seem like we are getting just good props today in general. And then real quickly, I do just want to jump into the 905 PrizePicks cheat sheet just in general, see where we are getting some good props. And we'll see one that we're getting, and we'll just touch on that by going into the WNBA tab. So looking at it, let's just look at WNBA, and we'll see Brittany Sykes is actually looking like a pretty good one. Now, her projection for assists is only 3.7. PrizePicks line is set at 3.5, but Vegas is giving her about a 54% chance to get that over. So that's looking like it's going to be a good prop. I'd be perfectly fine putting a good EV bet into the Flex Friday slip, simply because, it's a good number. The more times you do that, you're going to be successful in the long term. And then just real quickly, any other MLB props that we can roll with. I mean, these are all okay. Nothing that I want to go crazy with. Okay, so let's go ahead and just look at a Flex Friday slip for you guys. And just a quick call out from Taco Tuesday. This was the bet of the day slip. So if you guys used this with the tacos, that went 3 for 3. You guys had a massive day. Hopefully you're able to take advantage of that. It was nice to be able to start August with what seems like it's going to be a profitable month. And that gets me excited, especially with NFL coming up. So hopefully you guys were able to take advantage of that. Let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day today. All right, so looking at it, I did go with the Corbin Burns prop. If you guys wanted to, this would probably be the one that I'm most worried about. If you guys want to go with that WNBA prop, you certainly could. If you guys want to roll with one of those other discrepancy props that I called out, you could. The 2 that I went with are going to be 2 teammates in esports. We'll see. I haven't really looked into if that correlates or not. Having 2 teammates go both more or less, I don't really know. If anyone's the esport expert, maybe put their thoughts on that. The unfortunate side of this, I mentioned maybe betting both of them together on Underdog to bet the under. Well, you can't because they're teammates, so you'd have to do 2 separate bets with that to kind of hedge a little bit. And the only reason I'm suggesting that is because this is a Flex Friday slip. If it misses, you get your money back. But by doing that, like, you probably are giving yourself a good chance that either Underdog or PrizePicks is wrong on this line, thus you should be able to profit on the day. Then we're just rolling with the 3 inning fantasy score props that are looking like good ones today. Do just want to remind you guys of the promo code that's going on for the next 2 golf tournaments as well. Up until the Tour Championship for golf, I have this promo code going on. So it's 50% off your first month of your 9to5 membership. This is going to be for new members only. Use the promo code PLAYOFFS to get 50% off your first membership. It's $10 membership. Get it for $5 a month for the first month. If you guys want to, check it out. If not, just make sure to give a like and subscribe. Let's have a good slate today. And as always, let's keep cashing.